you've provided about your body shape, your cravings, and the symptoms you've described, your weight loss type is what's known as type G. And in case you're wondering, the G in type G stands for a hormone known as ghrelin. You see, type G people have a tendency to have an abnormally high level of ghrelin. In fact, this would be consistent with what you've told me about your body and symptoms. You see, a high ghrelin level is one of the biggest things that can make losing weight such a challenge for type G people. And the reason why is because ghrelin is what's known as the hunger hormone. The more ghrelin you have in your system, basically, the hungrier you get. And if you're a type G person and you ever find yourself fighting cravings, this can also be due to an elevated ghrelin level as well. And the reason why is because, as multiple studies have shown, a high ghrelin level can actually activate your brain's reward mechanism, which can set off cravings for highly addictive, sweet, fatty foods, the exact foods that are most easily stored as fat. And even worse, a high level of the hunger hormone tends to lead to those cravings at the worst possible times, usually at night when your body is most likely to store the food as fat. And this is one of the most frustrating things for type G people. When you have a high level of the hunger hormone, ghrelin, it can be almost impossible to follow a healthy eating plan. So the question is, what's the solution? As a type G person, what you need to do is flip a switch to get your ghrelin level back in check. Now, the good news is, by taking a few simple steps, you can actually lower your ghrelin level, and you can do it starting minutes from this very moment. In fact, I'm going to show you how in just a second here. But first, as a type G person, there's one last thing you need to know about your hormones, and that's this. What's interesting about most type G people with a high ghrelin level is that there's also a tendency for 3 other hormones to be out of balance in your body at the same time. And those are adiponectin, insulin, and cortisol. It's something I like to call the type G domino effect, and I'm going to explain what that means for you in just a moment. But first, let's get to the single most important question, which is this. As a type G person looking to lose weight, when it comes to your diet, exercise, and lifestyle choices, what should you do differently compared to other people with other weight loss types? Well, what I'm going to do for you right now is walk you through 3 of the 12 specific things I recommend for type G people who want to lose weight and keep it off, which you want to combine with a nutritious low-calorie diet and regular exercise to get the fastest results possible. Of course, you should always check with your doctor to get the thumbs up before starting any weight loss program. But in case you're wondering, the reason for just 3 things is because I want to focus on what's most important and what can help give type G people the biggest, fastest results. So pay close attention to what we're about to cover here. In fact, if you're like most people, you might even want to jot down a few quick notes. And by the way, if you're interested in getting access to my entire list of recommendations for type G people for free, I'll explain how to do that in just a moment. But first, without further delay, let's get right to it. The first thing I recommend for type G people is this. Substitute beans for bread. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. You see, certain foods have actually been shown to suppress your production of ghrelin, that hunger hormone, while other foods have not. And one of the best ghrelin-suppressing foods out there is, you guessed it, beans. In fact, in a recent study, eating brown beans at dinner as opposed to white or wheat bread was shown to significantly suppress ghrelin levels at breakfast the next day. Now, I know for most people, this isn't something they would normally eat on a daily basis. But for a type G person, simply adding a side of beans to your dinner each night can be an easy first step to help you get your ghrelin level back in check. Which brings us to the second thing I want to talk about today, and that's this. Exercise. Because you see, if you're a person with type G weight loss type, and you've either tried to exercise in the past, or if there's something that's prevented you from exercising, whether that's a physical condition or something else, I want to explain, as a type G person, what you want to be doing differently compared to people with other weight loss types. And one thing that might sound a bit unusual is to avoid exercising in the cold. And here's why. You see, research shows that exercising in the cold can lead to a significantly higher ghrelin level in your body afterward, compared to when you exercise in neutral room temperature of around 68 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius. In other words, as a type G person, when you exercise in the cold without even realizing it, you can actually contribute to the problem you want to solve by increasing the level of that unwanted hunger hormone in your body, which is the last thing you want to do. Now, don't get me wrong here. A brisk walk, jog, or run on a cold morning outside is certainly better than sitting on the couch watching TV all day. But as a type G weight loss type, what can actually be better for you when it's cold outside is to walk on a treadmill indoors or inside at the mall. Or at the very least, if you are going to exercise in the cold, then you need to think about bundling up. Does that make sense? Now, here's the thing. I know for many people with type G weight loss type, because they have something that prevents them from exercising or doing it regularly, they aren't able to incorporate regular brisk exercise into their lifestyle. But that's okay, because remember at the beginning of this video when I told you that because you were a type G person, I had some good news? Well, that good news is this. As a type G person, there's actually another way to lower your ghrelin level and give yourself a weight loss kickstart without counting calories, without having to eat beans every night, and without having to step onto a treadmill. So, who am I? As I said, my name is Steven Siskind, and I'm a licensed physician. I received my MD from one of the top medical schools in the country, Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas. I completed my undergraduate studies at Stanford University, and I also received my degree in manufacturing engineering from UCLA. Through my work at Real Dose Nutrition, I've helped over 219,000 people in their weight loss journey, with many experiencing spectacular results. People like Michael from Bathurst, Australia, who had this to say, "You brought it all together. Once I took your advice, the weight started coming off. I began to notice more energy and wanted to run up the stairs at work. I've dropped 60 pounds and feel like I'm 20 again. As a reward, I bought myself a motorcycle." As you'll soon see, some of what I'm going to share will likely make a few big players in the health industry, especially the supplement industry, very nervous. And because these players have lots of influence with big media companies, it's very possible you may not be able to get access to this information later. So if you're interested in hearing the truth about fat loss, make sure you watch this presentation in its entirety now, while it's still up. As a doctor who has seen many overweight patients, I've been witness to their deep-seated frustration, and I've heard a disturbingly consistent set of complaints and negative self-talk. Does any of this sound familiar? I'm doing everything right and still can't lose the weight. I feel hopeless and depressed. Not only do I look old, I feel old. Go out? I don't want to go out. I don't want people to see me. I don't want to buy new clothes. What's the point? I just don't feel valuable. I'm never going to look good again. This is out of control. How big will I get? What's wrong with me? Sorry for the dramatization, but it's hard for me not to respond to the pain and suffering that they felt and you might be feeling. The kind of pain that makes too many people simply give up on their dream of being slim and feeling good again. But there's something you need to know before you throw in the towel. It's not you, it's your hormones. And they're standing like a brick wall between you and your goals. But I'm here to tell you there's a way to smash through that wall, lose the weight, and be in control of your life again. Dee from Dublin, Ohio, was ready to quit before she came across my presentation. Dee said, "Finally, a medical doctor who explained why I was not losing weight. In the past, nothing worked, and everything left me hungry and jittery. But in just 5 weeks, I lost weight without being hungry at all. I thought I was dreaming when I stepped on the scale."